أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. We were talking about women's rights in Islam, and in this regard we try to answer to some of the questions related to the issue of women and their relations with men, and to know the opinions of Islam about these issues. One of them was the issue of temporary marriage, and we explained it. We will continue with this topic and to give the opinion of Islam very briefly. The details, of course, should be searched by yourself, should be studied by yourself. In these very short programs, of course, we don't have much time to discuss the details of the issues. About temporary marriage, we said that in some occasions, there are some women that they have no husbands. Because of any reason, they have lost their husbands. For example, in accidents, in the war, in other things. These types of women, they need to marry. They need to satisfy their sexual desires, and this is a faculty that is with any human being. We can't deny it, we can't suppress it. We should satisfy it, but in a very right way, in a very chaste way. Another issue is that sometimes some people do not have facilities to marry. Young boys and girls, they have traveled, for example, and they are studying in universities. They are young, and you know that a young boy, a young girl, they are in an age that their faculty of passion is very active, very powerful. If they don't satisfy this sexual instinct, then it will result into corruption. In such cases that these boys and girls, they are studying, and their sexual instinct is very powerful and they can't marry permanently. What should they do? What is your solution? Do you want to tell them to suppress their sexual instinct? It is not possible. Do you want to say that let's to go on the streets and to spread the issue of prostitution? Of course, not logically it is accepted, not legally it is accepted, not morally it is accepted. This is not a good way at all. Islam says that in such cases you can marry with a girl temporarily, not permanently. For example, for 1 year, for 2 years, for that 4 years, for example, that you are studying. Then mentally and spiritually, the boy and the girl shall continue to study very peacefully. This is what psychologists say. Some people have misunderstood, and they have said that this temporary marriage is like, in fact, prostitution. There is no difference. But it is very much different with prostitution. Temporary marriage is a marriage. In Islam, we have two types of marriages: permanent marriage and temporary marriage. And this temporary marriage has a lot of conditions that the permanent marriage does it. For example, first of all, about contract. You see, when you want to marry in Islam, you have to say a sentence. We call it صيغة العقد. For example, أنكحتك وزوجتك ومتعتك, or أنكحت نفسي, etc., etc. In Arabic, it should be said. This is the contractual phrase or sentence that from the Islamic point of view, it should be said. Both permanent marriage and temporary marriage, they have this condition. There is no difference. Secondly, for a girl to marry in permanent marriage, the permission of her guardian, for example, her father, is obligatory. For temporary marriage also, the permission of her father or her grandfather is obligatory. Thirdly, dowry. In permanent marriage, man must fix an amount of money or something in the form of object as dowry. Dowry is temporary marriage also is obligatory. Fourthly, in temporary marriage, you are not allowed to marry two sisters at the same time. Exactly in permanent marriage also, it is not allowed to do it. It means that temporary marriage is like permanent marriage. You are not allowed to marry two sisters at once. Yes, if you married a girl, then because of any reason, for example, you divorced her, or she died, for example, then you can marry her sister, but not at the same time. In this issue, permanent marriage and temporary marriage does not make any difference. Another similarity between these two marriages is the issue of alimony and nafaqa, or paying for the expenses of the children. If there are any children out of that marriage, the expenses of them is on the shoulder of the man. Another similarity is that when in a permanent marriage, a man divorces, for example, his wife, the wife cannot marry again immediately. She should wait for some time, for a period. We call it al-iddah. That period must be observed by woman. She cannot marry again immediately. Exactly for temporary marriage, this period is obligatory. Then, brothers and sisters, let's be fair. Is this temporary marriage in Islam exactly with the issue of prostitution? Not at all. In a prostitute, a woman who is in this way, today she is with one man, tomorrow with another man, the next day with another man, even maybe this hour and next hour. But in temporary marriage, this lady belongs to that man. That man is with this lady. And when it expired, the time of temporary marriage expired, the lady must wait for some time. This period of waiting is called al-iddah. She cannot marry even temporarily with another man immediately. These are the conditions which make temporary marriage completely different from permanent marriage. It is one of the very good solutions of Islam for preventing of corruption. We will continue to talk more about the temporary marriage in next programs. Until then, thank you very much. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.